experience life. Yes. So intoxicated, man. You don't know why you do what you do. Yes.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Car Guy podcast. I'm your host, Pete the Car Guy. Thank y'all so much for joining me on another beautiful Saturday morning. We got a lot to talk about. I cannot wait to dive into this episode with you guys today. Really going to help a whole lot of folks take care of their cars today, all right? So without further ado, you know how we do. Let's go ahead and kick this off with the What's Going On segment. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Right on. Yeah, I have no idea how much fun I love doing that. But anyway, hey, so I want to let you guys know we do have a lock on the next Take the Wheel segment with Mr. Garrett Shiflett. He is an owner and operator of multiple multifamily units and commercial as well as residential real estate. But he is an avid car lover and an avid car collector. And I cannot wait to meet with him. We actually got it scheduled early this morning for August the 8th. We're going to probably record between 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning on August 8th. That's Saturday. So I'm looking forward to getting that going and dropping that for you guys. So on August 8th, we probably won't do a podcast. We will just do the Take the Wheel segment in place because of the scheduling that we're trying to do for that. So just want to let you guys know. So mark your calendars for August 8th to check out Take the Wheel. And I cannot wait to introduce you guys to Mr. Garrett and showcase a lot of his vehicles. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to do that. So looking forward for that. And thanks again, Garrett, for getting that schedule with me, partner. All right, guys. So continue to check out the website, guys. Greatly appreciate you. www.lifeofacarguy.com, and continue to like and subscribe there as well as to the YouTube channel as well. And continue to check out the blogs and everything else there too. All right. Appreciate that. Now, Industry in the Streets is up next. This one's a little bittersweet, kind of a little on a sad occasion. Car and Driver reported yesterday afternoon that the Honda Prologue, the only electric vehicle that is introduced in the US market today, is going to be discontinued. All right. So Honda is going to take that and put that on the shelf permanently and discontinue any EVs in production here in the US. Just to let you guys know, the Honda Prologue launched in 2024, back in the late summer. And since then, Honda has sold over 80,000 units of the Prologue nationwide. Now, the Prologue, along with other EVs, have really lost a lot of steam as well as just the overall demand and interest. And primarily that's come from the tax credits and a total shift in interest and wanting to go the electric route with respect to a lot of high-end production. So Honda has decided to shelve that altogether. Honda had also planned to introduce some Zero Series vehicles. They had an SUV that they were bringing out and another option that they were looking to do called a saloon, but they're going to put that on the shelf as well. So Honda actually partnered with General Motors with the Prologue, and it was basically similar to the platform for the Chevy Blazer EV as well. And they were expecting that to be a great alternative, especially with the rising gas prices and the overall shift in the industry to an electric vehicle process. But now we're starting to see, unfortunately, a huge decrease in demand for electric vehicles across the board. And because that was the only entry model that Honda had offered in electric vehicles, they decided to shelve it altogether. So my personal and professional opinion on this, it's kind of an imminent sign of a transition back to norms, if you will, right? So back in the early 2020s and 2021, with the rise in gas and just the availability of, that type of resource, A lot of manufacturers are kind of pushing towards the electric vehicle side to provide an alternative, and there seemed to be a push or a shift to go fully electric by the end of this particular decade, like in 2030. There are a lot of mandates out there to kind of push that as a big proponent for mass transportation. But lately, because of the drop in the EV credits, which really not only represented a strong revenue stream for dealer manufacturers, but also covered a lot of the major expenses for the production of EV vehicles. Now that that's been discontinued, that revenue stream has really dried up along with the overall demand for the vehicles as well. So, unfortunately, it's kind of a sign of the times for right now. There may be a revisit to this later on. I know the production and finding the raw materials to develop the batteries and the overall components for the electric vehicles was also a cause for question just in the way that they were harvested and produced and whatnot too. So we'll see what happens with that. One of the things I really loved about a lot of the electric vehicles was just all the ingenuity and the innovation behind it. Now, Honda did promise that they would still have the infrastructure in place to support clients that currently own Prologues, as well as the remaining vehicles that are on dealer lots right now. So even though they're discontinuing the production of the Prologue, Honda will still have the support and the built-in infrastructure in place for any parts and service and things of that nature. So even though they're discontinuing the vehicle, those owners that still have the Prologues or are planning to purchase one, you will still have the infrastructure in place to support you. So just bear in mind on that. All right. All right, guys. So today we're going to do a collaboration in terms of the topic of discussion as well as the Car Guys Drop a Dime series. One of the things I have not really discussed yet, and we want to really dive in deep here today, is about car care in general. And specifically, what we're going to talk about is just washing and cleaning and keeping up with the overall appearance and taking care of your vehicle. So I've done a lot of research and experimentation with a lot of different car care products throughout the years. Some of the main ones that I've come across are Meguiar's, of course, Turtle Wax, Tire Wet, and Armor All of those guys offer a great amount of car care products that are really good and are consumer reports really good buys and really take care of your vehicle long term. So what I decided to do today was to kind of share what I use for my personal vehicles, not just mine, but my beautiful wife's. And I want to kind of go over not only the products that I use, but the process that I do to take care of my vehicles. So can't wait to dive into this. We're going to go ahead and get started. So a couple of brands that we're going to highlight today are going to be Turtle Wax, Chemical Guys, as well as Spray Away Glass Cleaner. Okay. Now, these combination of products that I use for my vehicles are really, really good. And I'll tell you why. Now, today, I'm definitely going to jump out there after the podcast and get to work and making sure my vehicles are nice and spick and span because we got a storm coming in later on this afternoon. And thankfully, we have a garage here. So once I wash these cars, I'm going to pull them in and then they're just going to be great and not be out in the elements. But one of the things that I've noticed with using this combination of car care products, if you're one that doesn't wash your vehicle on a consistent basis, and when I say consistent, for some people it might be every week, might be every other week, might be every month. It really depends on your own personal frequency. One of the things that I love about this combination is that if you go without washing or cleaning your vehicle on a frequent basis, your vehicle holds up very, very well with this particular combination that I'm about to display to you today. All right. So I can't wait to get started. Let's go ahead and jump right on in. So the main thing that I start off with when I talk about car wash, okay, is this brand. This is Turtle Wax Max Power Car Wash. Now, one of the things I really love about this particular brand is that it has a gauge of what you want to do with respect to the type of clean you're wanting on your vehicle. And it gives you right here, right on the front, if you want to do a moderate clean, an aggressive clean, or something very, very extreme. And it's based on the ounces that you can measure out and put in. Okay. So typically, what I do with this is I get a normal wash bucket and I put in the ounces that I want to use based on the type of clean I want to make sure it does, as well as supports for long term, right? Now, with this product, you can use with a regular sponge or regular cloth, whichever you prefer. Now, when we're talking about washing your vehicle, one of the things I'm going to tell you to do, if you have a hose with a spray nozzle on it, what I normally do is I use the shower first and I get a good spray around the entire vehicle and make sure the vehicle is nice and wet all over. Not just the top and on the sides, but also on the wheels as well and the tires, and just let it continue to just kind of soak in real good. I go around the car at least once or twice just to make sure I get a good wet and thorough soaking. All right. Now, once I get a good soaking in on the vehicle, then I come behind with a nice large sponge and I make sure I wash all over the vehicle. Now, here's the process that I start with first. When you're washing your car, start with the windows first. Okay, so what I normally do is I go with the main windshield and I go around the windows. And if you guys have a sunroof or whatever, I would do that as well as part of the first process. The next part I'm going to wash on the vehicle is going to be the hood and then the trunk and then go around the sides and underneath the bottom. The reason why I do it in that format is because the dirt and everything that's going to collect on the bottom part of the vehicle, I don't want to transfer it up on the windows. Okay. So I make sure I do the windows first to make sure that they have the cleaner part of the water solution that I'm using. Then I go the hood and the trunk, and then I go on the sides, and then close to the at the edges of the wheel wells and the undercarriage of the vehicle. So that way, that's where most of the dirt and the grime are going to collect on the vehicle. So you want to make sure you focus on that last. Okay. Now, as far as drying a vehicle, there are two processes that I'm going to recommend. Number one, the absorber, which is a synthetic chamois cleaner, or basically a towel that is used to dry your vehicle. This is the number one recommended product that I would use to dry your vehicle. Now, I no longer use microfiber cloths or towels or anything that's going to have any kind of lint or any kind of just filament debris that comes from the cloth itself. These chamois are some of the best to use in the world. Now, I want to show you the one that I personally use for my vehicle. Now, what I typically do, now because it's kind of like a paper and it's kind of dry or whatever, I normally, once I finish, I always kind of spray it off, rinse it off, and then I hang it dry. The reason being, you don't want to put these things back in the container when it's soaking wet and then close it back up. Number one, they're going to develop mold and everything, and it's just going to be a mess. So what I normally do is I just lay it across something that can just let it air dry and just let it sit until the next wash. Now, even though this feels like paper right now, once you spray this and wet it and wring it out, it's going to be very pliable and everything, and then you can start using it on your vehicle. Now, with this chamois right here, one of the things I love about it is that not only will it absorb all the moisture and everything off of the vehicle, it won't leave water spots and streaks. That's one of the things that I've noticed, even with a microfiber cloth, no matter how well you do it, you can go through this with one pass or maybe one and a half passes, and it'll clean and streak the vehicle to a showroom shine specifically. Now, back to the turtle wax here. One of the things I love about this, not only is it a great cleaner, it also provides a nice soluble kind of film protection on the vehicle as well. So if you're one not to wax your vehicle very often, this is something I strongly recommend to use as well because it kind of combines the wax job on the vehicle with the wash. So very, very important there. Now, once I'm finished with my chamois dry, the next thing I'm going to do is focus on the windows. And I use a spray away glass cleaner. Now, this particular brand, I actually got introduced when I was in the car business selling cars. A lot of the dealers that I work for use this brand specifically. And the thing I love about it, even though it's ammonia free, not only is it really good with windows on the interior and exterior, it's great for little stains on the inside of your vehicle too. Now, I found that it worked well on some of the cloth seats, sometimes with leather as well, and especially on the headliner. Like, say if you're a mechanic and you leave stains behind from when you're working on a vehicle or whatever, like on the headliner and on your sun visor and whatnot, this takes out just about anything. And it also works well if you have stains or things left inside of the cup holders or in the plastic or whatever. Now, when you're using this, make sure you get a good enough spray foam in and around the windows. And the one thing you want to do with your windows, especially, is use a microfiber cloth. Okay, the finer the microfiber, and the yellow ones, I don't know why the yellow versus the other color. The ones that are really soft and like plushy kind of look like almost a towel like, just you can see the fabric and just the fineness of this. These are the best ones to use. I found that even without using the spray, if you're trying to wipe off like a thumbprint or just like any kind of smudges on the windows, these are some of the best to use. Now you can get these anywhere, but the places I'm going to recommend are going to be Advanced Auto, AutoZone, Pep Boys, or Walmart. Those are the top four that I would recommend to purchase all that I see here. I noticed that Advanced Auto carries just about everything. So if you have an Advanced Auto in your primary location, I would start there first because they pretty much have all of these options available. AutoZone pretty much too. I see more Advanced Autos in my area than I do AutoZone, so it just kind of depends on what's more convenient for you. But at any rate, definitely get a lot of these, okay? And you're going to want to use these separately for each product that I'm going to go over with you as well too. All right. Now, after I get the windows and get that straight, the next thing I'm going to do is move into the interior of the vehicle. And this is where I'm going to get into the chemical guys. Now, I actually got introduced to the chemical guys by my beautiful wife and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law actually swears by this stuff. And just so you guys can see, this is the emblem here, the chemical guys right here. You can find these pretty much everywhere. I normally start with Advanced Auto because I have a nice assortment and collection of the various options here. Walmart is a good choice as well as AutoZone and Pep Boys, just so you're aware. Now, first thing I'm going to do, once I get everything and let the car dry off, I'm gonna start with the interior. Okay. Now, my process is my process. If you want to do it slightly different, that's no problem. I'm not saying you're not going to get the same results, but this is just kind of my style and process. Okay. Now, what I start off with on the interior is the total interior cleaner and protectant. Now, this is primarily used for the dash and the plastics of the vehicle. So the dashboard, the steering wheel, the multi-informational display, all of the plastic parts of the vehicle in and around the doors and areas as well. Now, another thing I like to do with this is specifically on the interior, especially. I know when you're doing the vehicle on the outside, you want to spray the car and then use the cloth. I personally like to spray the cloth or use the cloth with the material as opposed to actually spraying it onto the parts. Reason being is because sometimes the spray itself, some of the sprays might spray a little harsher than others, and sometimes they can leave marks even after you wipe your vehicle down, not just the interior parts and the seats, but everything else. So my recommendation is when you're using these products, spray the cloth or use the cloth or apply the stuff onto the cloth and then apply it to the parts of where you're providing the protectant. Okay. So with this, I make sure I get a good film protection on the dashboard and all the plastic parts, steering wheel. If you have an e-brake still on your vehicle, that's important. Your armrest is also very important as well if it's plastic, okay? And now for leather, I'll show you what to use with that in just a second. Now, once you've done all of that with the plastic, then you want to go back in and use the Leather Quick Detailer. Now, this is a really good choice here. My favorite go-to back in the day with leather cleaner has always been Meguiar's. Meguiar's is a great product as well too for those that like to use something that's a little bit more old school. This is a good choice, just to let you know, because not only does it give a really good soluble finish, when you spray this onto the material and then wipe it in, it really gives you a nice high gloss leather protected and finish, and it really works to keep the leather seats pliable. Now, leather has gone through a phase and a change and evolution over the years. And for those of you guys that know what I'm talking about, back in the day, especially if you didn't treat the leather would dry up and crack and split and do all sorts of things. Now, most vehicles have what's called a leather composite, which is more of a synthetic leather combination. And what they do with that is when they put it in the vehicles, they put it into in a certain way to make sure not only the seats are pliable and easier to kind of have that supple feel, it kind of prevents for overall lack of hardening and cracking. Now, for those of you that use your seats pretty aggressively or whatever, it's very important that you do an extra treatment on the driver's seat, especially if the bolsters are really, really tight. Because what happens is, as you're getting in and out of the vehicle, you have more wear and tear on those bolsters that are a little bit higher up and a little bit more of a kind of like a secure fit. This will help to kind of keep those areas pliable and keep the leather cracks and marks down. Now, the good news is a lot of the newer leather seats are not going to crack as much as they did on the older vehicles, but you still want to make sure you treat them so that they still have that shine and finish and that pliable feel. The way that this makes the leather interior smell on the inside too is really, really nice. It does give it kind of like a new car kind of finish, like those that, when we go into the showrooms and we see those brand new leather cars that has that kind of similar smell to it. This is one of the ones that is the closest to that. Second, the second one or runner up, I would say Meguiar's would be one, but I really swear by the chemical guys because it's a really good combination and they offer a various assortment, a lot of options. So this one's definitely a winner if you have leather seats in your vehicle. All right. So now after that, what I typically do is I go back out onto the vehicles. I want to make sure the vehicle's nice and dry. Now, the next step, if you're doing a wax on your vehicle, this is one that I definitely recommend. It's the Butter Wet Wax Deep Wet Shine. Now, some of these options they say you can do right after your vehicle is dried or wet. I don't normally like to do that. I'm a little bit old school. I like to make sure that my vehicle is nice and dry and make sure that I can verify that there are no watermarks on the vehicle anywhere. Now, the chamois is definitely going to take care of any watermarks, but one of the things I like to do just to make sure I'm thorough with it is like to go around and just make sure I don't see anything visible on the vehicle before I start applying the wax. Now, with the wax, you can do this with one or two ways. You can use one of the microfiber pads to apply it, or you can use a microfiber cloth, whichever you prefer. Either one is fine. One of the things you want to do is you want to put on a healthy amount of wax on all the parts of the vehicle. Now, mind you, be very, very careful. If you're out on a hot day like this, you want to do this in a shaded area if possible, just because a lot of times when you're applying the wax, it will dry really, really quickly under the sun, and sometimes it can be a little bit harder to take the wax off. So, FYI, if you plan on doing a wax job, try to do it under some shade if you can, or if you have to do it in an unshaded area, just make sure you apply and remove quickly, okay? Now, after that's done, you want to make sure you remove it well with another microfiber cloth separate from the one that you used or a larger pad. There are those that like to use the wax, the electric wax removers that have like the big pad on them and they go around and do that. That's fine. I don't have a problem with you doing that. I just say be careful because sometimes those machines, especially have a darker color car, they can leave swirls or spiderweb marks on your vehicle. I remember back in the day, I remember when I was working at Westbroad Honda and I had this customer do a heavy wax job on their vehicle. And they were upset because after they waxed it, it left spiderweb marks all over the vehicle. For those that don't know what they are, they're like fine lines that are underneath the clear coat after you do a heavy wax job. Now, a lot of the newer clear coats on vehicles help to prevent a lot of that, but the spiral marks or the spider web lines, they normally show up more on a darker color car, especially black. So if you have a darker colored car, I would recommend doing it by hand personally. That way you're not really grinding into the clear coat. You're doing it yourself hand wise, and it prevents to have those spirals in the wax job of your vehicle. Okay. Now, if you have a vehicle that has the metal trim around it, and for those that know what I'm talking about, you get that kind of oxidation or those spots that kind of develop on your metal trim that goes around the vehicle. This is a really good option to use to get those spots off and to really clean the marks very, very well. Now, what I would do with this is using another microfiber cloth, specifically for this, I would apply a certain amount, and then I would go along the lines of your metal area and just apply. And then what I would do is after you finish applying it, take the opposite side around there. What you want to do is wipe it off, and you really want to do a good firm polish job in and around small, small circles and polish in and around the metal trim. Once that's done, just go around to make sure you don't leave any marks anywhere or anything else, especially around the windows. Okay, so that's very important. Now, that won't kill the windows, but it's just smudges, and you have to do the windows all over again. So just bear in mind. But another microfiber cloth with that should be good to go. And that's pretty much it for the vehicle. Now, I want to go back to one specific one on here. Now, this one here is a great option to use. This is a synthetic quick detailer. Now, for those of you who don't want to do a wax job every time when you're doing your vehicle, you can spray this on the car and then wipe it off clean with a microfiber cloth. Now, what I tend to do is I'll spray the cloth itself and make sure the cloth is nice and dry. And then I'll spray this on heavily, and then I'll do circular motions and wipe the car there. If you spray the car and then wipe this instantly, that's not so bad. So either one works. My favorite is just to not spray it directly. I just apply it on the cloth and then use the cloth specifically. Now, as far as the tire shine, this one is really, really important. So I love the chemical guys for the overall application of the tires. And the sponge that I use for this is this particular type here. This is an Eagle One reusable sponge. And just to show you what it looks like, they've adapted these sponges specifically for tires. And one thing I love about this is just the edges here. So if you have a lip that's kind of protruding out away from your wheel, that's actually, believe it or not, meant to protect your tire from curb rash. So the reason why that lip kind of sticks out a little bit more on the rubber from the wheel is to protect you from that. So it's a great option and a great thing to feel. I don't know why my picture is coming through blurry. There we go. All right. So definitely pick up a couple of these. These can be found at Advanced Auto as well. Eagle One Tire Shine reusable sponges. And what I typically do is I will thoroughly wet the sponge with the tire shine, and then I'll go around and make sure I'm covering the entire area of the tire. And what I typically like to do, I just don't do just what I can visibly see on the side. I kind of go in on the inside of the tire as well, and I make sure I get that saturated very well. Now, for best and optimal use, what I personally like to do is I'll combine the Chemical Guy Tire Shine with the Armor All Extreme Tire Shine. Now, I've had people that use the Tire Wet, which is also another great option to use, but I like to do a double application of two different products because I found that the Tire Shine lasts a lot longer with combining the two. Now, that's just my personal experience. Now, Tire Wet is a great option to use as well if you're doing a tire shine specifically with that product. One of the things I found with doing this combination here is that the tire shine first with Chemical Guys leaves like a nice silicone base so that the tire wet on the next surface stays on and applies a lot longer. So you get that nice finish tire shine look that lasts a lot longer. Typically with just tire wet or just doing these independently, one thing I've noticed is after 1 or 2 days of drying, it just seems to just dry out very quickly. So this particular combination seems to leave like a longer tire wet look than just using them alone or independently of each other. Okay. So definitely a great option to use here, and nothing wrong with tag teaming across the board with a couple of different products. All right. And that's coming from the car guy. Now, one last thing to kind of touch on and go over. Now, I'm kind of a rugged guy, as my wife will probably share with you. I ain't one to, kind of keep my hands protected or anything when I'm washing my car. That's just me. I'm a guy. That's what guys typically do or whatever. Now, for those that would rather have their hands protected and would want to not have them exposed, or let's say you got to clean your car and you got a date that you're going to go out on with your beautiful wife or your spouse or your significant other, right? You don't want to have car hands and just having all the remnants and everything left over from you washing and cleaning your car. So I checked this particular option out. This also came from Advanced Auto. This is Mechanics Wear latex free nitro textured gloves. Now, one of the things that I looked at in this, and I asked the guy specifically because I was checking out other options just to kind of display. This particular pack is pretty thick, and I don't know if you can read the reading there. It's like that particular one, that just as far as the thickness. One of the things that he told me was that this particular brand he uses specifically when he's changing out batteries at Advanced Auto. And it did not rip, it did not cut or anything like that. And the other thing I really like about it is that it does have a textured grip. So when you're washing and you're using this, one of the things I love about them, if you're using this for universal means, so if you're working on your vehicle, if you're changing the oil, or if you're changing out the battery or whatever, if you're a car guy like me that likes to work on his car in the garage, these are really good combination to use not just for those kind of car service needs, but also washing and waxing and cleaning your vehicle. And they do a really good job of protecting your hands and making sure not only the grease and everything doesn't infiltrate and get on and get in your nails and everything, but the great thing about this stuff that I really like is that they don't tear very easily at all. So if they hold up well when you're changing a battery, I think they're car guy approved to wash and wax and clean your vehicle too, especially when you're doing the wheels on the interior of your vehicle as well, like getting into the spokes and everything. These are really, really good for that too. So it kind of protects your hands and keeps all that grit and grime from getting in your hands and your fingernails and whatnot. All right. So, just as far as all that goes, one of the things that I really like about this combination of products is that they last a long time. So, if you're one, like I said earlier, that doesn't wash or wax your vehicle on a regular basis, and I kind of tested this out just for this particular podcast, I have not, and forgive me, guys, this is a car guy test. The only reason why I'm doing it is because it's a car guy test, not trying to say I'm negligent. But I specifically have used all these products and have gone without washing or cleaning my vehicle for over a month now. Now, the reason why I did that, not only because I've been busy, but I wanted to see how well the products would hold up. And one of the things that I did see, especially on the outside of my vehicle, now mind you, I have a what they call like a pearl white or the diamond white pearl color on my car. And one of the things outside of black, white is another car that shows almost everything in terms of marks and things. And one of the things that I've noticed is not only in the bad weather or rain or whatever, my car has continued to beat up and continue to have that showroom shine. Now, when you get up on it, you can definitely run your finger across and see some dirt. That's always going to be the case. But with the long-term process of me going without cleaning my vehicle, it still remained very, very nice on the outside and not as dirty as if it could have been without using this combination. And believe you me, I've tried a lot of different combinations with a lot of different cleaning solutions and products. And this particular set works well for me. My wife owns one of those matte colored vehicles. That's the color of her vehicle. And one of the things I've noticed with hers is even though it's matte colored, it still kind of shows a lot of that grit and grime on the car as well. So using this combination really kind of stays that grime that develops over time as than it would if you didn't do this. So just to let you know. Now, when we talk about the wheels of the vehicle, and one of the things I kind of wanted to touch on, this is kind of bleeding into the drop a dime segment. When you are cleaning your wheels, you want to make sure that you're using a dark color cloth. I use like a dark gray or black kind of microfiber or filament cloth. And the reason why I use the microfiber is because it really collects and digs that grime out no matter what type of wheel or alloy kind that you have. Now, some people like to do like an alloy cleaner or they'll spray that on. Me personally, I found that the Turtle Wax Max Pro does the job very well. And some of the solvents that are used for the wheels, if they're not 100% alloy, or let's say if you powder coated your wheels or you've done something different with your wheels, a lot of those solvents can strip those wheel sprays and the powder coating. I found that this using just the Max Pro really gets the grit and the grime out. And what I normally do is I will wash the wheels at towards the very end before I apply the tire shine. And I just make sure that that grit and grime is out very well. Typically, what I like to do, even though I sprayed the car first before I washed it, I will respray the wheels again, and then I'll go behind with another microfiber cloth and I'll get in and I'll get into those areas with the cloth. I found by doing it that way, even though it's a little bit painstaking and long, it cleans them much better and it gives a better finish at the end. And then at the end, I will spray the wheels again, and then I'll go behind with a separate cloth, a dry one or another one, and then I'll go in and I'll clean the wheels and make sure all that's done. Then I go and apply the tire wet. Now, one of the things that I know a lot of people love to do, as soon as their vehicle is clean, they'll go off and drive it and they'll have a great time. If you are doing the tire wet combination that I'm recommending, or any kind of tire wet combination, I normally recommend letting your vehicle sit for at least an hour, at least 2 hours. But if you got to go somewhere, make sure you set the time allotted for this, and make sure you let your car sit for an hour after you have applied the tire wet combination. The reason being is I've seen this happen and I've tested this out. Even when I was done and I let it dry for about 15, 20 minutes, I've noticed after I've come back from where I was driving around, the tire wet chemicals kind of kicked up and spun around on the outside of the wheel wells and on the areas of the vehicle. So I let the vehicle sit for a while to make sure that the tire wet kind of sets in and doesn't have a chance to spin off or kind of come off from you just operating your vehicle. Okay. So that particular combination is what I strongly recommend to just get the best overall appearance and shine on your vehicle. Now, a couple of things to let you guys know about. If you're looking to save gas or to get better use out of your vehicle, one of the things you can do in addition to watching how you're driving is definitely keeping your vehicle clean. Having a lot of dirt and grime and buildup on your vehicle does actually affect your overall gas mileage rating. So make sure, don't do like me, and I had to do this just for the test, but make sure that you have a set schedule for when you're keeping your vehicle clean so that you can get the most optimal use out of your car. All right. Makes sense? All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, as far as just kind of going over the options. Continue to check out this particular podcast just so you can see the various options that I displayed. But I'm going to go over them one more time, okay? For the actual wash, I recommend the Turtle Wax Max Power Car Wash. And right here, you can see the various options for the type of clean that you're wanting based on the ounces of the solution used, okay? Now, the next one, the window spray, the spray away glass cleaner, one of the best in the world. I typically use this along with the microfiber cloths, and this is great for getting out various stains on the vehicle, not just on the windows, but the seats, the trim of the doors, the area, plastic areas that may have stains, cup holders, whatever. This is a great, great option to use for multiple purpose use. The absorber silicone chamois, this one is very, very important. I would not recommend using anything else, not a towel, not a microfiber cloth. Use this specifically because it will remove the watermarks as well as make sure you have a streakless shine on your vehicle. Very, very important. All right. Now, when you're using the absorber, make sure you are letting it air dry. Just leave it hanging on something like over a rack or something that may work for you. Or what I do, I have like a seed spreader that I have sitting in my garage. I'll just kind of lay it over that just to make sure it operates fine. And then that just kind of helps me out with making sure it's nice and dry and I can use it again on the next time. Now, mind you, just make sure when you finish using this, you put everything away, rinse this off well, make sure you wring it out as well as you can, and then hang it dry. Okay. Now, the assortment types of the chemical guys, I'm going to start off with the interior, total interior cleaner and protectant. This is great for all the plastics in the dash and the multi-informational display in the interior of your vehicle. The leather quick detailer, this is also a great one as well. The butter wet wax applicant and applier. This one is great for waxing your vehicle. If you have the metal polish, the metal or trim around your vehicle, this heavy metal polish is another one to check out. The synthetic quick detailer. This one, one thing I like about this one as well, I will use this with a separate microfiber cloth, and I'll go around the interior trim doors of the vehicle. A lot of dirt and grime and buildup builds up over there. This is really, really good to use for that as well. And then sometimes what I will do, let's say if I come home and I find like a bird dropping or something that hit my car, like a stain or something on the outside of it. This one I will use specifically to kind of take that out. Now, some people will just do like a Dawn soap or whatever, wash it off and then dry it. That's fine too, whatever you want to do. But this is good to take out the bird poop on your vehicle as well. Okay. Now, the tire wet for the chemical guys is also a good one. What I typically do with this, I use this as my base coat first on my tires, and then I'll go behind it with the Armor All Extreme Tire Shine. Okay. And don't forget about using the sponge applicator. All right. And the brand that I like is the Eagle One. This one is really good just because of the tips and the edges and the way it kind of contours to the tire. So you can kind of use this for that as well. And of course, the latex-free nitrile textured gloves. If you are looking to protect your hands while you're maintaining your vehicle, these are the brand that I would consider to use. They also have a grip texture, and the thickness of them will prevent a lot of easy tearing as well. And they're latex-free. So just to let you know. All right. And then finally, guys, I would get a slew, a good collection of these yellow microfiber cloths. I don't know what it is about the yellow ones. They just seem to be thicker and a little bit easier to use, and they're very soft and cushiony. The softer these are, the better, because they really collect all the dirt and the grime off of your vehicle, as well as stuff off of your windows and windshield. Okay. All right. So that's it for all of the options for car care. So just be sure to check these out again in case you have any questions. Feel free to hit me on the drop a dime email at thelifeofacarguy@gmail.com in case you guys have any questions. And for future car guy drop a dime topics, definitely email me there as well. I appreciate a lot of you guys that have sent me some topics to check out. I would love to continue to showcase your questions and be able to answer them on the podcast. And of course, give you a shout out as well. Okay. Now, let's go to our announcements for today. Towards the end of the month, I'm going to work on another shirt color option to show you guys, and another part of the logo for the Life of a Car Guy as well. So I look forward to having that probably within the next couple of weeks to share and display and really build up the apparel collection for Life of a Car Guy. All right. So I can't wait to show you guys that as well. That's going to be pretty awesome. And continue to reach out to me as well in case you have any questions. I would love to help you guys out. And like I said, just showcase everything that we talk about on a weekly basis. All right. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. One of the things I did want to share with you next weekend, we got Cars and Coffee here on the south side of Richmond next Saturday morning from 8 to 10. It's going to be, I believe, on Huguenot Road, excuse me, in Midlothian, which is a suburb of the Richmond area. I'm going to do a live broadcast in lieu of a podcast showing Life of a Car Guy. So I'll launch that on Saturday morning when I get there, and I hope to do a lot of interviews and talk to a lot of car guys and gals as well. So be on the lookout for that next weekend. Okay, looking forward to that. All right, guys. So continue. Like I said, I greatly appreciate our subscription base has been growing. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone that's been participating and adding yourselves to the subscription. Do want to tell you, continue to share this with 5 other people that you see and tell them to like and subscribe to the YouTube page as well as to the website. All right. So this is our thing, this thing of ours. We continue to want to grow this and share this to anyone with and everyone who is interested to talk about cars, share about cars, and learn about cars. And trust me, even though I consider myself a slight subject matter expert, I'm learning every week. So this is a great thing to learn from, even if you are an avid expert as well, too. All right. So let's continue to build this thing of ours. This is our thing. Okay. So appreciate you guys riding with me. Want to say praise God because He always has the wheel. And even though we may not always agree, it's important that we continue to show respect. Stay up. And like I said, I'll see you on the road. And by the way, I'm going to go get my car clean.